Now that we're live here on episode 21 of the Block to Block podcast, the best podcast in the world for all things Web3. Here we break down the technology, what's going on in the market, and the ways in which you can benefit. I am NFT Njai,
And I am Web3 Wayne.
and over here the talk is different.
Always got my 504 people in the building. Love to see it. Love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
that's good.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
before we get started, before we get into it, gotta let the people know this podcast is for informational purposes only. If you lose your money, that is on you. That's not on us. All right. So make sure you consult your financial advisor, some other professional that can help you with your finances, because that's not us. Now let's get into it.
Man, let's get into it. My good brother Jay, man.
Yes,
Super
sir.
excited to have you on Block to Block.
Having me, bro. Exciting, man. Love to be in a space. Love to be able to have a conversation with some people that understand. Let's get it.
Most definitely. But before we get into it, the people got to know about your background and how dope it is. So I want to just do you the honors, good sir. So for those who are watching who are not familiar with, especially if you're not from Baton Rouge, because I'm pretty sure you got the keys to the city at this point. Jay Gaudet was raised on the West Bank of New Orleans, Louisiana, and he relocated to Baton Rouge after Hurricane Katrina. For education, he earned his bachelor's in criminal justice, followed by his master's degree in public administration at Southern University. After school, Jay worked at the Paris's Juvenile Services as a probation officer, where he started his career in public service. From there, he worked with families on wealth building strategies through ownership and investment in real estate. Through his work and experience in real estate and politics, Jay founded the Restore the Block initiative, which worked to address the issue of blight within his community. And he also founded the Black Monopoly Foundation to help increase minority ownership in commercial real estate. Jay ran to represent the community of District 10 in Baton Rouge, where he still resides. And while he did not win the position of councilperson, he did come in second, earning 37% of the votes. And now Jay's interest in real estate did not stop at the Restore the Block initiative. He's been an active real estate investment manager and developer for 14 years, specializing in commercial real estate. Jay serves on a variety of business and community focused organizations as a board commissioner, specifically as the vice president of the Downtown Business Administration and second vice chair of the East Baton Rouge Parish Housing Authority. Within recent years, Jay has taken his expertise into Web3, where he has duplicated his real estate services for properties in the metaverse. So, like I said, this man has the keys to the city for Baton Rouge. If not, I'm giving you the keys. I'm not from Baton Rouge, and we're super excited, man. Thank you for being on.
Yeah, definitely, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the introduction. But like I said, it's love. My brothers, man, it's been solid. So, man, look, I'm just happy to be here, man. Happy to have a conversation.
Most definitely. So, just to ease us into the conversation, which is going to be a super intellectual, deep conversation today, could you just tell us and how did you get to this point in your journey?
Man, when I first even kind of knew about Web3, the Metaverse, I was in this investment group, and the guy mentioned about the Metaverse, and I had been hearing about it, not really, I just wasn't, I wasn't really entrenched in it. It didn't really spark my interest, and he started digital properties, and it was real vague. He didn't have a lot of information on it either, and he YouTube video of a Super World and the CEO of Super World, and this early on, the video it was a presentation, a YouTube video that her with Super World getting, just getting people to understand what Super World was, and it actually had his content. So I was like, all right, I took some notes, left it there, and some weeks basically put two and two together. My daughter was an avid Roblox player, and she does, she builds houses on Sims and all that kind of stuff, right? But what she was doing on the computer. So, she'd be asking for these Robux. She asking for all these, have money in her virtual world to do what she do. So, man, what are you doing? Like, why you always asking for this stuff? Like, what's going on? So then she starts showing me friends and all this kind of stuff. I'm taken back. I'm like, how you know about this? Like, how you know what a rendering is? Real estate. So she breaking it down to me. She's showing me on the computer. I'm like, oh, okay. So now I'm putting the two together, and I'm like, all right, I gotta get tapped in. So that just at that point to really understand, like, what are they really doing in this space? Like, what is this? From there, I just kind of went into it.
Yeah. When you mentioned Super World Realty, I was like, man, it immediately made me think of Sims because I remember my cousin, she used to be hard up on Sims. I mean, she had a whole family, a whole life. I'm like, man, what you doing like that? As soon as you said it, kind of clicked for me where it's like they're doing the same thing but making it immersive with this Web3 metaverse.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I've heard a lot of kids on the Roblox.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of kids on the Roblox. So that's dope that, as a father, you saw your kid getting into this and it kind of sparked the interest and that light kind of came on. That's dope on that end that that's how you kind of got into this space.
Yeah, for sure.
Bet. So before we get really deep into it, though, I know there's a lot of people who are like new to this conversation, especially about the metaverse. It's been like a buzzword lately, and some people are kind of fearful and they think, "What is it, the Matrix?" So could you like just define for
Right.
people at home what is the metaverse? Like, how would you describe it?
Yeah, so I mean, the metaverse is a virtual world that's created for people to basically do. How I look at it, people are able to do a lot of things that they wish they could do in the real world. The metaverse is a curated world designed almost to any aspect that you want it to be, and it's become more robust. Gamers, like, if you're not a gamer, you late right now. When I first started researching into it and really looking into it, I'm like, man, I'm late. I'm like, I'm a gamer. You was on this back in 2012, 2011, 2012, 2013. The power of this world. So now it's becoming more robust space for working relationships, for business events, for more business and investment than it was at a certain point to where it was catered more to leisure. That's how my interest got peaked. Like I said, I don't get games, so I'm not gonna get on a video game. I'm not prone now to more things in the metaverse that I wasn't probably because of my involvement in it. Just recently I was at the Immerse conference in Miami a couple months ago, and they had an exhibitor there. Man, they had a meditation room, and I was like, man, this is like dope. It's like you got our headset on. It's like you are entrenched in this meditation type. Somebody like me that I'm not I'm learning how to meditate. I'm still kind of learning for practicing with short time blocks, 2, 3, 5 minute time, and trying to meditate. But even something like that, it takes you completely out of you with that meditation aspect. So for me, when I first saw the metaverse, I was like, man, whatever you're doing in the real world, you could duplicate that into the metaverse.
Absolutely. And it's great that you mentioned that because it really sparks it allows for the average person who may say, "Oh, I don't have the resources to do something grand in the real world," to really like finally work on their passion, but even if it's in the virtual world, right? And that could be rewarding tremendously. So That's really dope that you pointed out how whatever we're doing in the physical world, you can duplicate that into virtual or the metaverse and even do more with it too.
Right. Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Cool. So how, like, for somebody who is new to this conversation of like the metaverse, like how do you even get into it, right? Like we know it's virtual. Like, do you have to like go pay Zuckerberg and them like money for the Oculus and like put on the headset, or how did you get involved with the metaverse?
I think, man, you know, I think you just have to have some general knowledge, of course, search like what's happening there, and then find out, like understand which how you can marry those two. For me, funny story. Um, when he first, like I said, when I first saw that presentation, when I looked at search, and I was my the first thing that told me was that okay, these companies that are offering these virtual this digital real estate, they're fairly new to the game. They're building a platform. Their platform is growing. It's it's fairly big right now, but a newer concept. So when he first identified, Superworld, that was an introduction to the real world real estate that's duplicated in the metaverse. You can get actually the same property in the real world. Put your address in, you can buy your home in the metaverse. So what I did, this company looks like they're getting some traction. I went and looked up all of the domain Superworld attached and saw if they were taken, and bought them. And in the midst of that, what I did, like I said, his on the YouTube video. I said, well, all right, now I got me I basically a company. It's say I am a real estate professional in the real world. My services in the metaverse. So I reached out to him. I said, look, I have Super World Realty, where we are duplicating our services by trade, real estate. We do consulting, we do advisory. Same thing I could do in the metaverse. I said, I'd like to have a conversation with you, see how to tell you how I can offer my services to Super World. Help work, get your brand out and get the word out. Well, I was gonna get fed, right? Well, I ended up getting a response from him. Him and a couple of people, a series of meetings for us to work to develop some things futuristic and some of those conversations. But that was really my involvement into the metaverse, which led to me getting a public, which in turn led to me getting a client that found me on the internet just by Googling real estate professionals in the metaverse. And in turn, this client, which are now partners, own 1,300 that we end up working to work to actually develop. So that what brought that experience. It came from that initial. I need to find a way in the game, and that was my entry.
Yeah, really, really dope. And one thing I like about that story, if you will, is the fact that you're coming in with value, right? You're able to talk with these individuals and mention that, hey, you have four at that time it might have been like 12 years, but right now you have 14 years of commercial real estate experience, right? Which is a huge skill set needed for the metaverse. And so with that, I guess the big question is, are all those skills that you've gained in real estate still are they virtually the same? Like, are in terms of like evaluating locations, doing comps, work managing construction teams. Like, I'm just interested to see like how does that translate into the metaverse?
Yeah, definitely. The contract virtually the same. The product is a little different. For instance, you know, partners with this property and the with these properties that they have. There's stadiums. One of them is the Dallas Mavericks Stadium in the Metaverse, and we've been in conversation, just back and forth, strategic planning sessions for the past 8 months to help them, for me to be able to help them understand the investment is that they have. You know what I'm saying? So the reason I went to Miami to immerse, because I'm going to really attract value for this property. The way I summed it up for acres of undeveloped land in the real world. You had acres of undeveloped land. Conceptually come up with almost anything on what that land could be, but it's going to cost money. It's going to take a type of initial investment to get that land developed to where it's attractive to some type of investment. You can sell it as raw land, but the value of it is going to be a lot less, and you're going to have to sell it at the value that it. You know, it took a while for me to articulate to them that you sell this land, this property for it's not valued at that right now. You know, working with them initially as a consultant before I actually became a partner, but the point of the relationship was for me to help them understand what is the highest and best use property that they have, and that's a lot that we deal with in commercial real estate when you're developing or making certain acquisitions for your investors. Highest and best use is a term that's going to always, but what the current use of the property is it what's the value of the property at its current state, but how can we by turning it into something else. Same thing applies in the metaverse. You know, I have a friend who actually had a friend of a friend on COVID. I want to say maybe in 2020. They threw a concert in a metaverse, and that piqued my interest to help me understand that developing, you know, going back to the stadium, that developing it was for experiences and being able to charge for experiences and even time for stadium was a lot more lucrative than just selling the stadium or selling it as it is. And you know, the friend of a friend threw a concert in the metaverse, spent $30,000 marketing, and made $3.5 million. And when you think about it, because anybody with an avatar and some Oculus glasses or a girl can join that concert and pay for a ticket virtual. At a stadium, it's a limited amount of seating. So concert in the physical world, but my return on investment, it has a cap. I throw the same event in the metaverse, then my return, and that was the value that I saw, and that was what, you know, we've been working to articulate. Me coming to the table was like, look, we need to find the best Web3 developer. We're talking about working with, you know, these NBA teams, working with stadiums to say how can we make money from, you know. So
Man, that's fire. So let's hold our thought. So I do want to throw in an audible. We're getting like some still audio issues with the mic here on your end, Jay. So what I'm thinking we'll do is we'll actually hop off live and just like record this interview on Zoom, because you're giving hella gems right now.
Yeah.
You said 3.5 million. So that, listen, we need the audio to be clear. Like Little Lex would say, I need to hear this. So let me, we're gonna like stop the stream and then just do a Zoom, okay? All right, got it. Bet. All right, so if you had this part of the video, this is really like take 2. We was having some technical or some audio difficulties earlier, but now we're on Zoom. We're gonna like stitch together the videos, because the gems this brother was dropping, we have to hear every word clearly. So please take us from the top.
but so where you want to start from? Where you want us to go back to? I know we was It was about
Yeah.
30. So
Yeah, I mean, you gave us the background, and for the
yeah,
people that's tuning into this part, I'm sure you heard parts of it. But really, it sounded like you took a chance. You knew you had
yeah,
these certain skills in real estate. You knew it was pretty much the same concepts in the metaverse. You saw Superworld and what they was building and said, I'm gonna go ahead and add realty to that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna
yeah,
hit them up. I'm gonna take that chance and position myself in a way where I can get into this game and what I know how to do. And then Jay started talking about a friend of his and how he was working on a consultant level. So I think that's a good spot to start from.
yeah.
It's kind of how you got involved on the consultant level. Talking about that property, I know that's kind of where things started to kind of go out for me, is when you started talking about, you had these acres of land in the metaverse, and you talked
Right,
about the
right, right.
Cowboy Stadium and how you got involved with that and the concert. So let's start from
Yeah,
right there and give the people them gems that we was hearing, kind
word.
of.
Word, but yeah, like pretty much like I said, when me, reaching out to Super World, being able to get in the conversation with them, start negotiating with them on building something, that prompted to me being able to get into a publication with Biz Now, and then in turn from that publication, now people are starting able to find me as a real estate professional in the metaverse. Even though I have my core business in the real world, when they go anybody that's looking for that type of service, they Google it or whatever, then my name popped up, which in turn brought me a client where I acted as a consultant, and that relationship turned into me becoming an actual partner with that team. And when I first got with these guys, they owned 1,300 properties in the metaverse. 13 of them were professional stadiums. So I'm talking, Dallas Maverick Stadium, the San Francisco 49ers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, a couple soccer stadiums. And the concept, so they're coming to me initially, they said, Jay, we got these properties. We went out on a whim, we're new to this just like most people. But from what we've read, you're a professional in this. We need to know what to do with it. And I said, let's get it. And because the concept is very similar. I think you guys asked me like, what's the difference in the service you provide in the real world and in the metaverse? And I said, it's the concept in theory is the same. The product is a little bit different, but the same as far as what we're looking for, as far as what can these properties become, or how can we leverage the property? What type of income can we make from the property? What's the highest and best use? You got people in the metaverse that's building houses that's being sold for six figures, like literally $500,000-$600,000 people are paying for houses in the metaverse, luxury homes. Like real talk. I tell my daughter, I'm like, bro, you better go in there and build me some doggone houses so I can go, flip these things or something. It's like they don't understand. They just want to play games. It's fun to them. When it start being like work, it's like you can't can't get them to do nothing. I'm like, man, you over here doing renderings and architectural drawings and all that. I'm like, man, these people paying money for this, So, but yeah, I get with these guys, and that's what I do. I assess the the real estate that they have. I give my professional opinion on what I think that it could be. What could be the biggest return on investment for it, and that's where it became. Now, throughout that journey, we had some disagreements on what we should do with the property. I think they made some investments that they wanted to liquidate, and like I said, it's just not time. Like what we currently have is like having acres of property in the real world. Yeah, we can sell it to somebody, but we're gonna sell it for pennies. We're gonna sell it what it's currently worth. The value of it has we might have a vision that 10 to 15 years later down the line, a whole city will be right here, and we could sell it for $50 million, but that's not the case right now. It's either we sell it for what it is now, which may be a couple of $100,000, or we develop it on our own and we create the market that we're trying to attract, and then we leverage that from that point. And I learned that that particular scenario for some things I was involved with a friend of a friend that did a concert in the metaverse. It was crazy. Like he spent about 35 grand on marketing, advertising, selling tickets, putting out a major campaign, and he made a $3.5 million return. And that was eye opening to me, because I said, okay, then this correlates back to what the metaverse is. This is a virtual world that is about experiences. People are paying money for experiences. It's not even really so much about the tangible asset. It's about the experience. So when I hear people talk about, oh, the metaverse is going to be dead, this is going to be, this is not going to work, why are people paying this amount of money for this amount of property? It's real simple. People spend billions of dollars a year. Large corporations spend billions a year on advertising. How many people can they get in front of with their brand, with their concept? People spend millions of dollars on a commercial for the Super Bowl. Now, you think about how many people are actually spending time in the metaverse. How much advertising dollars can circulate through the metaverse? That's what you're paying for. That's what you're buying real estate for. You're buying real estate for ad spend. You're not buying it because you're gonna renovate it later and you want to live in it and you want to raise your family there. That ain't the situation. The situation is a total different situation. And I liked it because, the people that I'm working with in the metaverse, they got disposable income. They ain't spending, they're not spending no money. They're not spending their mortgage doing this. They're not making, decisions if they're gonna eat tomorrow to invest. They playing with some money because they got some disposable income. And that's a different type of clientele when you in that space. So it was a win-win for me.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. One thing I want to highlight for the viewers at home. So you said your friend spent like 35,000 on a campaign and made 3.5 million as a return, right?
Yeah.
Those at home, that's a 100x return on investment right there.
Some quick numbers.
Yeah.
Some quick numbers for you.
Yeah. Just some quick.
You got to put it into perspective. Like, if I do a concert at the Superdome, I don't know offhand how many hold the Superdome holds, but let's just say it holds 2,000 people. That's how much money I can make. I can sell 2,000 tickets.
Right.
In the metaverse, it's unlimited. The space is unlimited. I can sell 500 million tickets if I want to. If you have an avatar, you got an account, and you got a way to get into the space, you buying a ticket. And then I can make it more economical because more people can come. More people can attend. I don't know if y'all saw it, but like an example was the Travis Scott concert in Fortnite. That's the exact concept. It's like the concert was fire. It was like I couldn't have fathomed that before I saw it, which I didn't attend the concert. I would have to go back and watch it on YouTube, and I was like, damn, this dope.
Yeah,
it's like,
you can do extra things you can't do in real life.
It's like then it's like the artists they loving it because they're like, man, I could be at home. I could do this from my house.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So it's like they eating it up. You might save on the talent. A concert it might have cost you 500,000 for the talent. You might save on that because you're not paying them for no travel. They could do it in their living room. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think another big thing to highlight here is you said, the metaverse is not about, you raising a family and the whole, gambit. It's about ad spend. But, that ad spend comes from the metaverse being about experiences. And I think that's an important piece to highlight for people who, may not be necessarily in real estate, right? Who may have, their own business, a small business maybe, and they're trying to figure out, like, for me, what does the metaverse mean for me? And that's what it is you can have this space where you can provide experiences, right? Just like, on your social media where you're able to expand that reach, you're now able to expand the reach of your experiences that you can provide and the experience you can provide for certain audiences. So man, I love that. I thought that was a gem when you mentioned that the metaverse is, we think about Sims, but really what it is that experience that you get to get. I think that's huge.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
huge.
Yeah, dope. So I guess a big question too is when you think about the traditional real estate investor or developer, right? Because you know there's a lot of rhetoric within like these real estate spaces of the metaverse. That's not real value, what have you. You just gave a great use case about how it is like true value that's being generated because of like ad spend, because certain artists can like better connect and better provide experiences for their fan base or what have you. So I guess my question is for the real estate investor whose eyes may have been a bit more open, or just anybody whose eyes are a bit more open about the opportunity in the metaverse, like what would you say they will have to do to learn to like get involved? Like how do you go about like learning about this space, becoming a developer? Like, do you have to be an expert in coding? Like, do I have to do a boot camp? Like, what do you have to do?
I mean, I'm gonna always go back to research, and doing as much research about, the lane that you're trying to get in.
Mhm.
What I tell people is, start with what you're doing already. Take,
Right.
and if we look at some of the things that has happened in the metaverse already, it strategically aligns to pretty much everything that's going on. I mean, you got shoe companies that's opening up in the metaverse. Immediately when I found out that they were doing a fashion week in Decentraland, that told me everything I needed to know.
Hmm.
When luxury designers are going into these spaces because they know the type of reach that they're going to get, they're any great business, they're going to try to attract the attention of the youth. Where are the youth congregate? They're congregating on gaming consoles, on TikTok, on their phones. They're congregating in these virtual worlds. So they ain't worried about us. They worried about them, and that's where they at. So you got people that's opening up virtual um, clothing boutiques where they selling clothes for avatars. It's like it's all kind of things. So I just tell people like just identify what you're already doing and find out how you can leverage that in that same space, and then you just connect it all together. It pretty much a flow in that way.
Definitely. Yeah, that makes sense. There's that old adage of invest in what you know, because that's when you're gonna like become successful. Like when you're trying to do all this other nonsense that you have no cue about, like then it can get a bit more complicated. So
Right.
yeah, I definitely like that. Just interested to know, like, so you're coming in from like the real estate development lens, and you talk about like these different projects. Like, what are some things as you look at the space? Like, how do you see it further evolving? Like in terms of like themes or like new ideas that you see on the horizon?
Um, man, I think the first thing is that people have to get over the hurdle of what the real investment is.
Mhm.
Because I think that I think we dealt, and that was one of the things I spoke to in with Biz Now is at that time, the influx of acquisition of property in the metaverse was FOMO. People just had a fear of missing out,
Hmm.
but it was FOMO from people who had enough money that I can buy property in the metaverse and not miss it. Like I said, I ain't spending, no, I ain't got to buy groceries with this money, so I can go buy me a couple of parcels of land and wait to find out what's going to happen. And that's when you're seeing these articles about this amount of money being spent in the metaverse, this amount of properties being bought and sold, this is the amount of transactions. It's like people they just didn't want to be left behind. So the second, and what I said back then, I said, the second phase of that is where we are now. Is that okay? I got this property. Now what do I do? Now how do I leverage it? You're gonna have your people they're gonna be on they're gonna be long term holders. They're gonna be able to wait it out. They're gonna be able to wait to see what Mark Zuckerberg gonna do. you know, with the metaverse, they're going, you know, with his whole, they're going to be able to wait and try to figure out. You got this, and you got some people that's like, all right, I done spent this money, I need to make something shake. You know, what can I do immediately to see some type of return on investment? And like right now with my partners, I'm kind of falling into that middle range. You know, my stance is, you know, we need to play the long game. You know, we're kind of going back and forth with, you know, all right, we need to make some money now because, you know, we put some money out and we want to see some of that return. And so, you know, we're kind of doing that dance, but you got a lot of different phases of this. Where do I think it's going to go? There was a statistic that I heard, I want to say maybe over a year ago, that the metaverse is going to be 14 times more addictive than the cell phone, than the smartphone when the smartphone first hit the market. So you're talking about, you know, almost anything you can think of, in a virtual world that people want to experience in a real world. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's like if you grew up and you didn't, and, you know, if you were scrawny and you didn't, you know, you wasn't so nice looking and you wanted the girls in high school and that wasn't you. The metaverse give you an opportunity to be that dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you wasn't really, like, you know, getting on that in high school, the metaverse give you the opportunity to be that guy. So
that's facts. That's facts.
So it's like we're gonna get to a stage to where it's like, you know, it's gonna be a lot of things going on in the metaverse that, you know, it's gonna be a space. It's gonna be the same, you know, the same things that people deal with on the changes of technology when the internet first hit the scene, when the smartphones first hit the scene. You know, you're gonna have the pros, you're gonna have the cons, but you know, it's definitely gonna be a robust environment. So
yeah, I could see something like you know, somebody opening one of those like metaverse parks, and you know, it's like the most dangerous things you could do, like, you know, climbing the Himalayas or something like that, right? Where you like, you don't have to risk your life, you know what I'm saying? But you get that same experience, like you might get that same, you know, you get to the top of the mountain, maybe even, you know, you get the altitude and the whole nine. So it's like,
they're developing things to where you can actually have real feeling. You know, it's like one thing I always say is like, just imagine GTA in the metaverse.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of kingpins.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Just like, so just think about it. Like, imagine like GTA in the metaverse. Like you in there, and you just think if you always wanted to be a dope boy for whatever reason. but you could be it in the metaverse. You might die, you can come back to life. Unfortunately.
That's real. You can't spin the block. You can't spin the block in the metaverse.
And then think about how addictive that could become. Because that's something that you desire, right?
Yeah.
And now you're in that life and you just like in it. You know, we deal with it. It ain't even to that magnitude with just people, with just gaming. We got the kids on GTA for 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So imagine that same experience in the metaverse. It's like, oh, we got to deal with that.
Yeah. A lot of major considerations. Like you said, you know, this technology is a tool at the end of the day, and how the people use that tool is really a reflection of like their intent. As you mentioned it, like, you know, if you desire a certain lifestyle of, oh, I'm gonna date myself real quick. I used to watch Rocket Power as a kid, and even though I can't skate or do none of that in real life, like Tony Hawk in the metaverse.
Right.
Oh man, that's great. That's great.
Dope. That's dope. Now it makes a lot of sense too. Just the natural progression, if you really think about it. Like, we think about it as a gaming, and you know, my young self, I play games a lot. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how we thought about it. So it's dope hearing the other side of it, of like, Nah, it's not just a game. It's not just about, and you said earlier that if you're not into gaming, you kind of late on it. But I mean, from what you're saying now, you late on the concept of the metaverse, but it's still early, right? It's still
Yeah,
early in all the other ways that it's gonna get applied to just real world type scenarios. So you catch this clip, you watching this episode, of course, like, comment, subscribe, share. And no, you're not too late to get into the metaverse. Jay here
yeah,
dropping gems.
definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it's dope that you giving these people the free game. They should be paying you for this, bro. I'm just saying. They should be paying you
Nah,
for
man.
this.
Nah, it's fam, so it's all love. It's all love right now.
Okay,
Look, I'm
okay. Feel
excited.
that. Feel
That's
that.
cool. Man. Yeah, and I just really love how, like, for those who are like, dang, like I might be late, but even though Wesley Wayne saying I could be early. Like what you said too about like just start with your skill set. Like what is it that you are skilled at doing right now in the real world? It could be what is in the sciences, within like theater or what have you, because there is some kind of lane within the
Yeah,
business.
yeah, for sure.
So I guess like going back to like what you're doing, because you do like a lot of work within the real world and now the metaverse, and you're merging the two. Like as far as you as like an entrepreneur, like how are you like thinking about it in terms of like dividing up your time? Are you like, I want like 50-50, like real world versus metaverse? Are you thinking I want to be more heavy within the metaverse for the next couple of years? Like I'm just curious into as to like how you're balancing the two.
Yeah, so the real world, the real world business, of course, is my main priority. Um, anything that comes to me that's metaverse related, I take it as depending on what it is and what the trade off is. So I assess those opportunities pretty intentionally to determine if it's something I want to step into. Uh, right now, my main focus is with the project that I'm working on in the metaverse because it is big and it does require a great deal of attention. So I think just with that, and it's funny that like that's like really my first um, you know uh, project that happened to be that massive. But it's been fun. It's been interesting. It's been fun. Um, it has prompted me to do a lot more traveling, to go
Mm,
to a lot more conferences and educational events. And it's like I said, man, I've just been having fun with it. It's not work, it don't feel like work. Nothing. It doesn't change, throughout the day. If I'm talking to these clients, I'm talking to, it's like I don't have to put my metaverse hat on. It's like it's the same language, it's the same motion, it's the
yeah,
same thing. It's just a different type of it's a different type of product, and but it's a different type of product, but the same product. So it's
right.
like I said, it's fun. It's exciting. It's never a dull moment, and I just been enjoying it.
Definitely. Yeah, because you have like synergies between like these different areas of your business. So it's
Yeah.
not this huge additional lift and you're like, we gotta get all types of resources to get everything
Right.
straight. So
Right. And that's what I didn't want. That's why when I first stepped into it, it made so much sense to me. I was like, all right, I'm gonna work into this lane like this, and because I was like in my stage in entrepreneurship, I don't really try to create other jobs for myself. If I want to invest in another business or invest in something, I'm gonna invest. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, we're gonna have, whatever type of level, whatever type of value I can bring to that investment, then that's what, me and the other parties will have that conversation. But I'm not trying to create other jobs. People that ask me about going into certain business ventures, and I'm like, look, if you're looking for me to come create operations and foundation and structure and all that, I'm like, that's not what I could bring to the table at this point. I could bring some advisory to the table. I could bring, maybe some money to the table, but it just, that's just my criteria at this stage,
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That makes sense. Man, powerful conversation. Really, really dope. Like one day we need you to like just show us your portfolio. That's what I'm thinking about. Of
Hey
like your
man.
metaverse projects.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. Like right now, it's funny because that's one of the challenges too with the Web3. We had a meeting with the with a web developer to kind of show him the landscape of what we had, and because with the Web3 you got wallets involved and stuff like that. It's like when you're talking about developing the actual property, then you got to go into the back end, it's coding and stuff like that. And then, so it's like, that, I guess that's one of the cons I would say is that you got to be in real relationship when it's like, you got people that, because it's like, you can't share your wallet. You can't. So it's like, that's where it starts to get tricky. But yeah, for sure, man. Definitely. We got the map that we go through that shows all of the properties, the stadiums. I actually have a PDF of all of the stadiums that we have.
Dope.
Yeah, so we
Wow.
could definitely, yeah, check that out. It's dope though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope, right? And if it's not a NDA type deal, definitely like, what I'm saying, we definitely wanna see that and let the people see it too, right? Let the people
Yeah,
see like what that looks like, you know.
for sure,
Uh,
man. Like right now, we actually we are looking for investors. Like I said, the Dallas Maverick Stadium is where we're looking for. That's what we're looking to develop first.
okay.
You know, we've thrown we're playing with some concepts, but mainly, we're trying to develop an experience that we can actually, work with the Dallas Mavericks, maybe offer, some type of added package to their ticket sales, to their season ticket holders. One of the things that, man, was a big gem dropped on me at the conference, at Immerse conference, and anybody in the space, if you haven't been to Immerse Global Summit, you definitely got to go,
Okay.
because that's where the who's who of this space is congregating, and it taught me something. We linked up at the Black Men Talk Tech event. When I went to Immerse, it was probably like 3/4 of the amount of people there, right? But
Mm,
when I
Really?
said, it was like the people there was about they was about some business. They was there either looking for opportunity. When I say opportunity, they wasn't looking for opportunity from somebody. They're looking to give an opportunity to somebody. They're trying to find somebody to invest in.
okay.
They're trying to find the
Mm,
next best thing. So it's like, it is the conversation is different, and I'm sure anybody that's on this platform, y'all understand, sometimes it's hard talking to people about this space, because it's no middle ground. I was talking to a dude about that at the conference. It's like, it's no like, yeah, I kind of know. It's either you know or you don't know.
Mm,
So it's like, you got to
yeah.
spend. Sometimes you have to spend a long time educating people, and they still may not get it. So it's
yeah.
like, so it could be challenging in that. But one of the conversations that me and the guy was having, when I told him we had, these stadiums, he was like, "Oh man," he said, "Man, they have been doing work with the Orlando Magics, and for that same reason, to be able to help capture the youth, by selling tickets as NFTs, giving them alternate experiences when they purchase the NFT ticket, to be able to
Mm,
maybe be able to have a virtual experience from home if they can't come to the game, because because historically, season ticket holders are usually held by older demographic. And even though, the millennials are getting into that stage of age to where, they're financially stable, they have some disposable income, they're still not buying season tickets like our elders bought season tickets. They still,
mm,
that's not the norm. So they're trying to figure out, all right, how do we capture this demographic? Because it's not going to change. You know, they're not going to keep getting younger. We got to figure out ways to get the younger generation to be able to spend the same money that the older generation did. It ain't that they don't have the money, but what they want is different. So what you may have been able to sell to my grandfather buying a season ticket and what he liked, it ain't the same thing as what I like. You know, I may want a little bit. I may want. Yeah, sitting on the court side on the first row is dope. But if I can't make it to the first row, you know, can I put my VR headset on and be at the game? You know, or can I buy the ticket with an NFT and then, you know, maybe get some, you know, some crypto money or something that's a little bit more than what the norm is. And that's what they're trying to figure out. And that's one of the things that we're trying to capitalize on now.
Definitely. Yeah. Using this technology to solve real business issues and provide those solutions. Because that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. And also, Mark Cuban, cut the check. We're been out the stadium.
Yeah. That's what we hoping for, man. That's what we shooting for. You know. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing too is another opportunity for those people who understand how to provide experiences, right? Like you guys have the real estate, you got, of course, the investors and maybe the owners of like that brand and real estate in the real world. That last missing piece is, you know, really the people who specialize. And, you know, you guys may put together some, you know, some events yourselves, and, you know, the Dallas Maverick may have a team, but I'm sure they're going to be looking for more people. You know, I mean, even right now, you go in those stadiums, they have the side rooms, right? The little club rooms and things like that, where you can have somebody who's experienced with that in the real world, club promoter, you know, marketing expert. Like these are all things within the metaverse. Like you said, start with what they know, start with what you know. That can all be transferred. It's the same concepts, right? The developer technical, you know, nerd geek side, you can, you know, let the developers take care of that. You can still make money. You got more opportunities to make money from what you know how to do.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
Man, so I see we're at the top of the hour. So just a couple more things. Like one, what's your piece of advice for the entrepreneur who's looking to get started, like, but they may be on the fence for whatever reason?
I mean, I would say, you know, start small, you know, test the water. You know, again, start with what you know, and then, you know, start small, like reach out to people in the space, you know, see what you can offer, see, you know, what value you can give first, and then, you know, find out if that same kind of value is being given in other places, and then you find a way to monetize it. But I would just say, you know, start small. Like for myself, me giving somebody advice on a concept that I already knew, that it was just a different type of environment, that didn't cost me nothing. You know, that didn't cost me anything. So I took that as I mean, same way if I'm giving somebody some advice on the street, you know, somebody asking me a question, or, you know, about a type of property they should invest in. It's like, I charge and make money from that, but I mean, I give people free information all day, every day, you know. So I took that as the same thing. I said, well, you know, these guys, you know, they're reaching out to me. I said, you know, we had a series of Zoom meetings before I sent them the invoice, and like I said, it didn't cost me anything. You know, it was a win-win scenario, and so that's what advice I would give. I would just tell them to start small and test the water, do your homework, you know, research, see what's going on. It's so much information out there. Like it's the things that has happened in the metaverse in the last 2 years. I mean, you can get enough information to give you a baseline of like, all right, well, something happened. You know, I can do something over here. You know, so
absolutely. And actually, going back to you giving out free advice and free gems, you have a podcast. You want to talk about that real quick? Because we got to let you plug.
Oh yeah, man. So Own Your Keys podcast. That's Own Your Keys. Podcast on all podcast channels on YouTube. And pretty much it's a wealth building platform where we invite other content creators to come and have this show. We've been doing it for a couple of years, but our goal is to really just give value on wealth building, on investing, on real estate, on marriage. I co-host the show with my wife. So and that's just been our love, to give game in a way that we know how. So tap in, download Own Your Keys if you haven't heard it. It's on all podcast channels and on YouTube.
Yep, it's definitely a great listen. I highly recommend it. We'll make sure to put it in the description below.
Bet.
Man, and how do you want people to stay connected with you? Where should they follow you?
Yeah, man, y'all can follow me at the Monopoly Boss on IG. It's THE Monopoly Boss, and you can follow my the Black Monopoly foundation page. That's THEBLK Monopoly, and either one of those platforms, you could definitely hit me up. And like I said, man, with the Black Monopoly, we are advocating to increase minority ownership in commercial real estate. It's crazy, it's funny. I was sitting there with my wife today, just kind of, doing some research, looking at some things. And last year, this time, you couldn't find any statistic on the ownership, though very little statistics on ownership of the Black community in commercial real estate. Mm. And researching today, a lot more articles was available, but I found later into the year, July, August, September, late into the year, that shows that the ownership of Black ownership in commercial real estate is at 3%. Before that time, we were looking at some of the data that was out. That was at 0.7% of African Black Americans that own commercial real estate in the country. And currently we're at 3%, where our white counterparts are at 8%. So, our mission with the Black Monopoly is that we're going to provide resources, we're going to provide grants, we're going to provide advice, leverage to help minorities be able to purchase commercial real estate and lower the barrier to entry. Because one of the situations that we fall into is that to get in commercial real estate, to be an owner, they want you to have 20 to 30% liquidity to get into the game. And that's what always kept us out. So, we want to make sure that, that our people can bridge that gap to where they don't need that amount of money to go to the table, and it becoming increase in the ownership of commercial real estate. Because that's what's going to change the dynamic of, that's what's going to bridge the wealth gap. If we look at, we're talking about building wealth, but if our ownership stake is that low, when everything we do is commercial real estate, every place that we go into this world has some form of commercial real estate. Mm-hmm. The roads we travel, the stores we go into, the malls, the stadiums, everything. And if we don't have a piece of that pie, we can't talk about being equitable. So.
Love it. Yeah, make sure you guys tap in. Like, you definitely do drop a lot of gems on your IG because you was talking. I liked a post you put the other day about what you just said about the low amount percentage of like ownership that our communities have in commercial real estate. So yes, please stay plugged in, because we have Jay Gaudet, the expert on all things real estate, whether it's in the physical world or the digital world.
Yes, sir.
Man. Well, thank you again for blessing this podcast. We told you guys, season 2, 2023 of Bloc to Bloc is going to be amazing. Different. We got the Metaverse mogul. That should be I'm gonna call you that from now on. The Metaverse mogul right here.
Yes, sir.
Bro. Man, it's been a pleasure, fellas, man. Y'all keep on grinding, bro. Love what y'all doing, man, for sure. Like, let's get it, man. Anytime y'all want to tap in, let me know, say the word. I'm coming through, and
So,
let's keep it going, bro.
hey man, thank you for blessing us. You dropping the gems. Man, if the people got to see this, you know what I'm saying? They got to hear this. So, thank you again for coming on. We, ourselves are fairly new to Web3. Like we've been about a year really in it and some change at this point. Haven't even ventured into the metaverse yet. So this was dope. I mean, I got a lot of gems from it. My mind started racing on things we could start doing and ways we could start getting to the game. So again, appreciate you blessing us, my 504 people. You already know.
Yes, sir.
Always love to have you on. And looking forward to the next conversation as well. So
Definitely.
Most definitely.
Ooh, and we're gonna do something in New Orleans, but we'll talk offline for that. For the
yeah,
people
Okay.
y'all watching, that's something we're gonna announce later. But we got something cooking up in New Orleans there. You definitely have to come through.
yes,
Most
sir.
definitely.
Yes,
Y'all
sir.
ain't going. Y'all going to Zulu ball?
No, not this year. Not this year. My pockets and my liver can't stand it this year.
I feel you. I'm. This is my first time going. So.
Oh, word.
Yeah, this is my first time going. So.
It's a good time. You have a good time.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be dope.
Absolutely. Well, on that end, I guess we can just really close out the show, huh, Derek? Like,
yeah, we put in some time today. The people gonna have to catch the market next time.
Yeah. You have to catch it next week, man. Like,
Next week.
Please
Bro.
like, comment, subscribe, rewatch this episode. Because the gems, the keys that you can take away, you can really own your keys, pun intended, by listening to this episode. So
Yeah.
thank you again to the good brother Jay Gaudet. Peace.
Y'all be cool. Peace.
Right. Oh well.